Hey everybody, it's Kelly Cooper and welcome to another Facebook Live video where I'm answering your most burning questions about the law of attraction. Today I don't have a specific question that I'll be reading. It's just a lot of people ask me basically the same question in a variety of different forms, which is basically how to deal with your negative feelings. It's kind of funny because as important as this part of the process is going to be for many of us, probably all of us, if you're a normal human being, there's actually not a lot to say about it, at least the kind of stuff your mind wants to hear about it, because there's nothing to it. There's nothing to feeling your feelings. It's not an action-based strategy. You can't do it right or wrong. It's funny to me how many people ask me this, and I don't mean that like I'm mocking people that ask me like, oh my God, you're so stupid. It's just funny to me how we overcomplicate all of these things so much that we convince ourselves we don't know how to do things that require absolutely zero knowledge or zero skill. And another thing about this is a big part of this tension and this confusion and this anxiety stems from the fact that if we're honest with ourselves, our main motivation for doing all of this work is not to actually deal with our pain, not to actually be happier. We just want to get our stuff. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with wanting your stuff. You get up and you live in this world every day. It's okay to want certain things in your experience. It's okay to have a certain vision for your life and whatever. We all have our personalities, our preferences, all of that's fine. I'm not someone that's against concerning ourselves with the worldly life, or else I wouldn't be interested in a teaching like the law of attraction, which the primary interest, right, is changing our outside. But you have to understand, when your primary top of mind driver, when your primary energy is all about just getting stuff you don't have, just so you basically don't have to deal with your negative feelings, and you're so worried about not getting what you want, and you obsess about doing the law of attraction right and all of this kind of shit, it just creates a lot of tension and agita and a lot of emotional pain and frustration that just is not really necessary. So the first thing I'll say about this is you really want to do your best to really shift your focus as best you can. Again, you could still want what you want. There'll always be a part of you. You care about what your outside looks like. You're doing this just to get something. Human nature, it's fine. But you really want to make your primary energy, your primary motivation, becoming happier, dealing with your shit so it's not weighing you down anymore and dominating your life, and you're not, everything you're doing in your life is just to avoid having your pain disturbed. So that's the first thing I would say, is the tension, all this anxiety is coming from your motivation for this work, because all you care about is getting your stuff. You're terrified you're not going to get it. You think the law of attraction is some action-based thing where, you can do it right or wrong. Let's be honest. Again, we just care about getting our stuff. We don't really care about healing the pain. So another motivation for this type of question is, how could I do this as quickly and efficiently as possible so I can deal with my shit, get to my happy feelings, and therefore right? It's all about getting the stuff. That's like all our mind cares about. Get the stuff, get the stuff, get the stuff. Again, okay to want the stuff, but primary motivation for doing all of this, that's a very, very painful journey. It's a very different journey than committing to just true energetic transformation, knowing the stuff comes that way too. It's not an either or proposition, right? It's not mutually exclusive. So the best piece of advice I could give you as a foundation, and I've said this I think in another video, and I know I talked about it in a recent podcast, was if you're feeling confused about this, just pretend. I'm going to say something really crazy here now, but that's what imaginations are for. We get to pretend anything we want. Pretend that you knew nothing about the law of attraction, conscious creation. There was nothing in your life you wanted so badly. You weren't trying to get something you don't have. Your motivation for doing this work was purely dealing with your shit, feeling better, unloading it. Again, so it's not dominating your energy. It's not dominating your life and your focus anymore. How would you proceed? If you were feeling sad, you would cry. If you were feeling angry, you would be angry. If you were in denial about your feelings, you would be honest about how you feel. If you were not past some sort of event in the past that caused you a lot of emotional pain, and you realized like you still really weren't over it and you were still holding on to stuff, what would you do? You would see the contents of that energy, what you were holding on to, and you would let yourself feel it and you'd be honest about it. If you knew that you wouldn't feel better until you felt better and it was going to take as long as it was going to take, okay, no problem. I'm down. It's cool. That's all there is to it. You just be honest about what you're feeling and let yourself feel it. You're not going to get stuck in these feelings. If you're scared about, you're going to fall down some rabbit hole of pain and you're not going to be able to crawl out of it. That's not going to happen, I promise you. Because you have to understand all the shit you're dealing with now, because to your mind's like, well, I already feel bad. So what the fuck is she talking about? Like, I already know I'm in pain. I know I'm unhappy. Yes, you do. But the way most of us are with that sort of stuff, we feel bad. We kind of feel sorry for ourselves. We have all this right, and we're like, we don't think we can do anything about our life. We don't think we can do anything about anything. So we have this pain. We're not seeing the value in it. We're not exploring it. We just feel shitty, basically. And then we kind of just like, okay, I feel shitty and there's nothing I can do about it. When you see the value of your pain, when you see your emotions are just messengers showing you how you're focusing, what you believe, how you feel about yourself and all these, your inner world, the contents of it, when you see the value of purging this emotion from an energetic perspective so you can actually make some room for all this positive energy you might be trying so hard to cultivate with your tools and techniques and whatever else you're doing, that changes everything about the pain. It changes everything about how you view it and how you deal with it. So no, you're not going to get stuck in it. It's going to be a very different experience than when you're just feeling shitty now. And like you just feel shitty and you really aren't trying to do anything about it. You just feel crappy. In this context, in this space, it's a very different experience. I can only go so far in verbalizing and explaining that to your mind, because a lot of these things you have to understand too. They're going to be beyond intellectual understanding, rational explanation that your mind can kind of sink its teeth into, like, oh, I get it. It's intuitive, it's emotional, it's of the heart. On this level, you understand it perfectly. Here, you're not going to understand a lot of it, and you have to make peace with that. If you keep trying to like get it to make sense here before you proceed, it's like a tire spinning its wheels and stuck in mud. You're not going to get anywhere. So you have to make peace with the fact that like this work is not of your mind, it's not for your mind, and you got to keep your mind out of it as best you can. So we set that foundation of you're just doing this work for the sake of it. You're not trying to get something. You're not trying to do this as efficiently and quickly as possible. You're not trying to make it a strategy or a means to an end or a tool to just get what you want. Pure, energetic, emotional cleansing and healing. That's your goal. That's what should be the goal, right? Ultimately. And even if you still want your stuff, you still can make this your primary goal if you choose to. But you have to choose to do that. You have to choose to let go of, I just want my stuff. All I care about is my stuff. If you don't do that, it's okay, but someone like me, I won't. My work will be of little use to you, because all that's kind of what a lot of what I talk about. When you do all this stuff, don't be afraid of these feelings. They're not going to hurt you. Again, when you see the value of them, when you see what they're showing you, they're not that bad. When you remove the layer of judgment and criticism and resistance to them and beating yourself up for feeling this way, I should be over this by now, I shouldn't feel this way because of what I intellectually understand. You have to understand your intellect has no use in the domain of feeling. Your intellect is useless there. So if all this time you've been trying to think your way out of your negative feelings, it's probably not working. It works on a very surface level because you maybe tamp down the energy a little bit. You start to change the stories that are the root of the pain. So there can be movement there in the realm of intellect, but intellect will never take you all the way. It doesn't matter how many things you understand intellectually, the pain born of all the stories and all of that crap, you're probably going to have to feel it to some degree. And again, if you take away the resistance to it, the judgment of it, the criticism, the big baby, oh, I don't want to be sad, I just want to be happy all the time, kind of juvenile kind of attitude we can kind of have about this work, the actual emotion in and of itself, even more intense emotion, it's really not that bad. I'm sure you've all had this experience. What I'm saying here, this probably isn't foreign to a lot of you. Think about you've had a moment where you let out emotion, you cried, or you were angry, and you just let out the anger. What happened after, right? You felt better. So this isn't some like foreign concept, I'm sure, for a lot of you. You've had the direct experience of seeing the benefit of letting your emotions out. But again, because all we care about is getting our stuff, and we see everything we're doing as a means to an end, our positive emotion as a means to an end, healing our pain, again, just a means to an end, just a tool to get our stuff, we lose sight of the most basic elements of functioning like a normal human being. The simplest things leave us dumbfounded because our mental space is so fucked up because all we care about is getting our stuff, and that's all we care about. And we're just like tunnel vision, like my stuff, my stuff, my stuff. Where's my stuff? Again, you want to move away from that if you want to have an easier time making these energetic transformations, and you want to remove this massive confusion you have around things that there shouldn't be any confusion at all because they're very basic, simple things to do. You'll feel better when you feel better. Don't rush the process. You have to understand too, especially if you feel like diving into your shit might be a bit more of a prolonged process, which for a lot of you it might be. It's not something you might work through in a weekend. That's okay. Again, if you're not coming at this with this idea of resistance and just trying to feel better as quickly as possible, none of this is actually a problem. It's really not a big deal. I've gone through very prolonged phases of dealing with shit. And the most important thing I want to say about that is you are not going to feel this way all the time. I promise you. You'll have plenty of moments where you feel perfectly fine, perfectly normal. You can function just fine in your life. You'll still be able to work, take care of your kids. You'll go to lunch with your friends. You'll watch a funny movie on Netflix. You'll laugh. You'll go out for ice cream. You know what I'm saying? You'll function as a normal human being still. You'll just have moments where shit comes up and you're just not suppressing it anymore and you're just dealing with it. And it could be prolonged. Maybe it's a few weeks. Maybe it's a few months. To our mind, this is like unbearable because it doesn't want to feel bad for even 2 freaking seconds. But think about this. If you've been carrying shit around with you for years, maybe since you were even a child, stuff that would continue to affect you for years, even decades to come until you die, a few weeks, even a few months, even a whole year of feeling a little out of sorts, that's not so bad when you think about it, right? When you really think about it, if you think about unloading shit that's been carrying around for years, dealing with shit that would affect you for years or decades to come, a few weeks, a few months, 6 months, even whatever, that's really not that bad when you think about it. It's actually kind of a bargain when you think about it. It's really not that bad. Again, I can't give you any tools and techniques and concrete steps to do this because that's not how it works. Energy work, emotional work, inner work, it's not an action-oriented thing. If there are external resources that will help you do this work, a coach, a book, a class, a program, a something, a video, a meditation, whatever, it'll come into your reality and you'll recognize it when you see it. But know that you don't need anything external to do this inner work. So don't delay it until you find some perfect tool or technique that you think is going to help you do it, again, as quickly and efficiently, as painlessly as possible. Don't delay it. Don't feel pressure to find tools and techniques, or don't feel pressure to develop some kind of routine. Like again, anything external is not necessary, but anything external that will help, feel free to engage it. If you manifest something and you feel there's something there for you, again, a coach, a book, a class, something, use it, make use of it. And if it's coming from that aligned space and you feel like that intuitive pull to it, it'll probably help you in some way. You'll find some value in it. But don't go seeking these things out from this desperate space of thinking unless you find something outside of you to help you do this, that you won't be able to do it at all. That's just your mind trying to trick you and trying to delay the process, because your mind has no use for your emotional healing and happiness. It has no use for you being a more successfully functioning human being. So it'll try to pull a lot of bullshit to keep you from doing this. And that's one of the ways it'll do it. It'll tell you, well, you can't do it until you find some sort of resource outside to help you do it and to guide you through it every little step of the way. That doesn't exist probably. Again, anything external, feel free to make use of it. Don't desperately seek these things out. Don't delay doing this until you find something outside of you to help you. Don't think it's necessary. And then if you don't find it, then you're not going to be able to do it. All it takes is a willingness to deal with your shit, to stop denying it, and just realize it's not that bad. It really isn't, because you have to understand something. The process of attraction is neutral. There's no judgment there. The universe is not judging you, analyzing you. It's not responding to what you want. It's not responding to your personal development work, how hard you're trying. It's not responding to your dissatisfaction. It's not responding to your pain. It's responding, it's a neutral, clinical, dispassionate, clinical, whatever process, right? Whatever energy you're putting out there, whatever energy is dominant, again, you don't have to be perfect, whatever is dominant, you're just going to get stuff that mirrors back that energy, just neutral feedback. No punishment, nothing like that. No reward for positivity, no punishment for negativity. It's just neutral feedback. What you're putting out there predominantly, you just get it back to you with your life experience. The people, whatever you attract, everything you attract into your life. So you have to understand, when you're not dealing with your pain and you know it's there, now that you know about your feelings and you know that they're there now, denying them is not going to do anything for you. It's not going to benefit you in any way. Because as long as that energy is dominating, what's gonna dominate your external reality. That's just how it works. Again, there's no judgment to this process. It's clinical, mechanical, neutral, dispassionate. That's it. Input, output. So you have to understand, if you're not going to deal with your feelings and you're not going to deal with that energy, you can choose to do that. And you might be able to change your energy enough in surface ways that you might get some of the stuff your mind wants. But it's probably not going to be the best versions. You're not going to be happy anyway, because the lack of the thing was never the problem in the first place. You'll manifest the stuff your mind wants, but you're not going to get it for the reasons you want it. So you'll get the boyfriend, but it's not because you're a match to love. It might be he might be showing you your low self-esteem or some other thing, and it's not a good relationship. But your mind got what you wanted. But again, it's not a good you know what I'm saying? So like dealing with this pain, if you really want to get the best versions of the stuff you want, it makes sense to deal with it. Because what starts to happen is because what's going to happen too with a lot of people is you start to go within more. You start becoming more aware of your pain because it gets triggered by your desires, because we want stuff from a space of we feel bad without it, so we want it to make us feel better. So you become more aware of this pain. You start to realize that you can't ignore it, but then your mind convinces you to keep ignoring it. You choose to keep ignoring it. But now again, you know it's there. Before, maybe you weren't as aware of it, but now you're more tuned into it. But if you keep choosing to proceed with, well, I'm just going to use my tools and techniques to get my stuff so I don't have to deal with these feelings, but now you're more aware of them, whereas before you weren't as more aware of them. If you keep trying to function in the old way with this new awareness of your pain, the tension there, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, you're experiencing it. It's a very specific, unpleasant type of tension. It's a very specific, unpleasant, very specific type of unhappiness. And again, if you keep choosing to not deal with it, you can do whatever you want. No one's going to force you to deal with your feelings. But you have to understand, they're not going to go away. All this new awareness you have now about the true roots of your pain, not being what you don't have, but being inside the story about it and all this other internal shit, you're not going to forget that. You're not going to become unaware of it. And again, when we keep choosing to operate in the old way with all this new information that we now have, that we're not going to forget, that we're not going to become unaware of ever again, there's going to be a tension there. And for a lot of you, that's one of your biggest problems with the energetic transformation. You have this tension there. You know there's stuff there you need to look at, but you keep choosing not to look at it because you don't want to deal with it. So instead, you try the new program, the new tool, the new technique, the new this, the new that. Maybe this will work. I'll get my stuff, and then I won't have to deal with these feelings. If your primary motivation for working with a teaching like the Law of Attraction is just to get stuff that will make your bad feelings go back dormant, you can do it. You can change your energy in surface ways to make changes. But again, as you become more and more aware of the true root of your pain, getting the stuff, it's not going to do anything for you. Or if the pain's too great, even the surface changes of energy, it's not going to be enough, because it's that energy is just going to drown it out. Your focus is going to be really on your pain still predominantly, and what we focus on expands, LOA 101 type stuff. So yeah, for some of you, this how to deal with your feelings question, this might not be a satisfying answer because you're very action oriented and you want steps and processes. Do this and do that, and in 28 days you'll feel better. I can't give you that. It's not an action oriented thing, but it's a good thing that it's not like that, because it means you can't do it wrong. There's nothing you need to learn or try to master. Just, again, pretend you didn't know about the Law of Attraction. Pretend your motivation was purely energetic, emotional healing and cleansing. How would you proceed? There's nothing to it. You let yourself cry. Stop denying your feelings. Again, your energy, the universe responds to your energy in a very dispassionate, neutral, clinical, mechanical way. Denying your feelings, pretending you believe things you don't, pretending you feel a way you don't feel, this is all useless in this world of energy. It doesn't do anything for you. So it's a waste of time. Just deal with your stuff. I promise you, it's really not that bad. I deal with shit all the time. 2018 for me, literally the whole year I was dealing with shit. And again, like I said earlier, I had plenty of moments where I felt perfectly fine. I wasn't like curled up in my bed in fetal position for 12 months, like unable to function and just crying constantly. I had some of my best, happiest moments during those times too. That's not a coincidence. I was able to cultivate that energy in a more genuine way because I unloaded some of the shit and I made room for it. Think of like a fire, right? It needs space around it. The oxygen feeds the flames. If there's no space around it, right, the fire can't take off, it just suffocates, right? It's the same thing with energy. If you really want all this positive energy you're trying so hard to cultivate because you think that's going to get you what you want, it needs some space to grow. It needs some space to thrive and take off. And if it's just surrounded by all this shit, your anger, your bitterness, your resentment, your hatred, your pain, and all these emotions that you're carrying around that rule you, suffocates it. There's no space there. You unload some of the shit, you make some room in your energy for the good energy. It has somewhere to go. It has somewhere to thrive. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of a way to think about it. So deal with the shit. Don't go digging for shit. Just deal with what comes up. Just be kind to yourself during this process. Give yourself permission to pull back from certain things if you need more time to process. Four paws up. Thank you very much for that. My husband's leaving silly comments. This might be something where, you really have to prioritize your well-being, and that might mean, again, pulling back from certain things, giving yourself permission to veg out and not do as much. Just, be good to yourself. Make your emotional health a priority. That's another part of energetic work too. If you don't prioritize your energetic and emotional health, it's very hard to change in any real, meaningful, significant way. You can change it in surface ways with the tools and the techniques and all that kind of bullshit. I'm not saying not to do those things, but we give those things way too much power, and we think they're like these magical things that can just change our life for us, and they have no power in and of themselves. So you might need to pull back from some of the official personal development work. Don't feel pressure to do all that stuff unless it's actually making you feel better. Again, prioritize the emotional healing and well-being over getting the stuff you don't have. The stuff still comes anyway, I promise. The universe won't forget that you want it. You're not canceling the order. But as many of you may have seen, just remaining externally focused, trying to get stuff you don't have, all the while ignoring what's happening inside. You have a whole shitstorm brewing there that's been brewing there forever. And again, I'm not someone that I think personal development is some serious journey. I don't romanticize pain, like, oh, the exquisite pain of the human experience, and it's so beautiful, and oh, you must embrace. No, and always go digging for your pain. None of that. To me, it's just about acknowledging the reality of the average human being's energy. And there's some shit there. And if it's there, it's there. So you got to deal with it. To me, it's just more of a practical, logical, rational way of looking at it. Sometimes that thinking serves us very well. And this is one of those instances. If there's a problem, there's a problem. Pretending it's not there doesn't make it go away. Pretending your feelings aren't there, don't make them go away. And again, like I said, when this work brings you more inward and you're more aware of your feelings now and you're more aware of what's going on, to keep ignoring them, now knowing what you know, there's going to be a very unpleasant tension there that no tool or technique or manifestation is going to make go away. So just deal with get to the root of the problem. You'll start feeling better. And yeah, the stuff still comes, I promise you. This route doesn't mean giving up on the stuff. It's a better way to get the stuff. It's a better way to get better versions of what you want. And when you're happy to begin with, you'll enjoy what shows up a lot more too. When we manifest from pain minimization, any positive feeling we get from the manifestation tends to be very short-lived. It's because, again, the lack of the thing was never the problem, so it's not going to be the answer. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys found some use in this. Again, this is not something you can do right or wrong. There's no strategy. You don't need anything external, but if anything external will help, it'll show up for you and you'll recognize it when you see it. But don't rely on all that stuff thinking you need that to do inner work. You don't need anything outside of you to do anything inside. It's a good thing. You don't need to spend any more money. You don't need to learn anything. You can do it all yourself. It's a good thing it works that way. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a great day or night. Happy manifesting. Head over to my website for more information, more content, livelifemadetorder.com, information about my coaching services, products, all that good stuff. All right, bye-bye.